Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're actually not in my apartment, we're actually at my best friend's place, and we are going to be, well, basically rescuing his tank and going to take his fish. Now, he has had this aquarium set up the way it is at the moment, I think for 6 to 7 years now. That's what he's been roughly saying. Unfortunately, yeah, it is in quite rough shape. I mean, Blackbeard algae has completely taken over the entire aquarium. The fish inside the tank are also not the best of choices of fish for this size. One thing that I can only recommend is if you guys do get an aquarium and a fish tank, do your research before you buy your fish. They might look small and cute and dandy, but they do, some fish just outgrow your tank or just absolutely dominate your tank and actually just, yes, become so territorial that they will actually kill off other fish. And unfortunately, yeah, my buddy, he got some fish that looked very, very pretty when they were still small, and they have obviously taken over. In the tank at the moment, there's about 3 neon tetras, there's 1 bristlenose catfish, there's a red-tailed shark, which is actually not a shark, it's actually part of the carp family, and yeah, but they look quite cool, but even they grow quite large and are actually quite a schooling fish. So he's only got 1 in there. And then he's got a few crebences. Crebences, basically, they are cichlid family fish, breed very rapidly, become quite territorial depending on how big your tank is. And he's got a breeding pair in here, and they are absolutely dominating everyone else. And even the other 2 crebences, which are actually, well, offspring of them, they are obviously being chased around, and you don't really see many of them, or you don't really see them at all. He basically said that he doesn't know what to do with the fish or with the aquarium, and I offered to him that, I would gladly take it off his hands and, rescape it and give the fish a new home maybe. And he wants to also downsize on tank size. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It's time to take this down, get the fish out of the tank. Once we're back home, which is going to be later on the day, I'm going to obviously set up a quarantine tank and all of that. But for now, it's basically just take this tank down and take you along for the process. There we go. We got the hardscape, most of it out, and the plants. There's 1 piece of hardscape still in there, but there's a bristlenose catfish. He is sitting inside the pipe and he's not letting go and doesn't want to come out. I think the water level is low enough to catch most of the fish. Put them in the bucket, and in the bucket they should be fine to travel for an hour or 2. So that should be okay. There we go. The tank is completely empty. I got all the fish in the bucket. I mean, there's not much to see at the moment. I got 3 crebences in there. I got 3 neon tetras. I got the red-tailed shark and quite a large bristlenose pleco. Where is he? There he is. The colors and all of that on the fish are obviously going to be quite faded. So I'm going to close the bucket off, just give them a little bit more privacy, and then take the rest of the aquarium down, and then it's basically ready to go on the road. Okay, there we go. The tank is empty. I got the fish in the bucket and some plants. Yeah, we put the filter in the bucket just for now, just to give it some flow and obviously some aeration. We are still going to obviously sit around for a little bit before we actually start loading the car. But yeah, the tank is empty. Now, as you guys can see, there's quite a bit of blackbeard algae in here. The back glass has definitely covered it. So I'm not going to clean it completely. I'm just going to chuck it in the car as it is. And tomorrow I'm going to, well, give it a good clean in my yard. And tonight when I get home, obviously once that's going to be later for you guys, but I'm going to set up a temporary tank for the fish. For now, that's it. I'll get you guys just now once we start loading the car. Okay, there we go. The tank is in the car. I got the fish in the bucket. They behind the seat. They should be fine. We are good to go, fully packed. About an hour and a half drive home. Everything should be fine. So I'll see you guys when I'm back home. We are back at home again, and as you guys can see, I have the tank next to me and I got the bucket next to me here. The fish are doing absolutely fine. Now, the plans that I actually had was to clean this aquarium and set it up again and use it as a temporary holding tank for the fish. But unfortunately, I'm going to take the 200-liter tank next to me here and actually set it up as a temporary fish holding tank, since the tank from my friend's place, it's quite dirty. The lid is, yeah, it has quite a bit of mold everywhere around it. Inside the tank, the glass and around the silicone seams, there's just blackbeard algae everywhere. I mean, the blackbeard algae actually grew on the back of the glass. I need to let it dry out fully and I need to give it a proper clean. I don't want any of that touching my other tanks, and I also don't want blackbeard algae in general. Nobody wants that. It's one of the worst algae to have. It's very, very difficult to get rid of. Before I speak around too much, I'm going to get this tank here set up. And the idea is to make two separate little islands, caves. Territory is a little bit wider, bigger for the cichlids. So the big tank is just the better option. Plus, I'm just going to be able to quarantine them in this tank, keep an eye out on them. So that is the plan. Unfortunately for this tank, I don't have a bottom mat. I'm not going to be filling up completely with water. That's just going to be too much load for the glass, and I don't want to take the risk of having no self-leveling mat underneath the tank. So I'm just going to fill it up halfway with water. That's going to be more than enough space for the fish that are in the bucket at the moment. I mean, there's not many fish at all. They should be fine. This here is the entrance to my apartment. And as you guys can see, next to the steps, there are quite a few rocks. I don't exactly know what type of rock this is. I believe it to be slate. And slate is actually, well, completely aquarium safe to use, though I am obviously not sure. For hardscape wise, I don't have any stones lying around at the moment, and I am planning on using these. There is a little bit of an experiment that one can do to see if your stones are actually safe to use in aquatic use. Since not all rocks can be used, and some of them can actually change the water chemistry to the worst for your fish. They can obviously lift and raise the pH or lift and raise the KH, but all of those things are way too scientific for me. I'm just going to do the very basic test to see if these rocks are good or not. To test your rocks, to see if they are safe for your aquascape, I have mine here, is to actually use some vinegar. Now, everywhere online, it is always technically said that vinegar is a good test to see if your rocks are safe for, well, underwater use and in your scape. And basically you just take vinegar, pour it onto some rocks, and if any sort of reaction happens, if the vinegar starts bubbling or foaming or anything like that, then your rocks are technically not safe to use in your aquascape. Now, there is a better substance to use than vinegar, and that is to use hydrochloric acid. And with hydrochloric acid, you get quite a violent reaction quite quickly from the rocks that you actually can't use, and technically you don't get a reaction at all from the rocks that you can use. But I've never done this, so this is going to be an experiment, well, that I'm going to be doing with you guys. Let's see if something happens. So yeah, Hopefully no reaction happens, because I would really like to use these rocks, especially since I have no hardscape at the moment, and I do want to use some form of rocks to build some form of cover for the fish, and obviously to add some plants onto that. So let's give it a try. Okay, so I have my 2 rocks here. I'm just going to place them down on the ground and pour some vinegar onto them and basically just see what happens. Let it just soak for a few minutes and yeah, document and see what goes on. It's been about 10 minutes now since I poured vinegar onto these rocks, and technically nothing has happened. Now, this could be a good sign, meaning that these rocks are safe to use, though I kind of believe that the vinegar is just not acidic enough to cause a reaction. Now, it might cause a reaction on some other rocks. I honestly can't really tell. This is the first time that I've actually done it, and I don't have any other rocks to compare it with. If you guys want to maybe see an experiment being done with different rocks and vinegar and hydrochloric acid, let me know down in the comments. That would actually be quite a cool thing to experiment on. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go use these rocks in the Aquascape, and since, as mentioned, I don't have any other options on rocks to create crevices and caves for the cichlids especially, and also for the pleco, I'm gonna go ahead and use these. Obviously, I'm just going to keep an eye out on the water chemistry, do a water test weekly just to see if none of the parameters actually change. But yeah, I would say let's use these rocks and scape something just temporarily for the fish. I'm going to go back inside and get everything together and take all the plants out of the tank firstly. And yeah, get started. Now I do have these 3 big pieces of spider wood, and I think they actually look quite cool, and it would also just give the fish just a little bit more of a hiding space inside the tank. So I'm going to try and add them into the tank somehow, put some rocks around them and build up from there. As you guys saw, I was struggling to get these 2 pieces to basically stay together. Really wanted sort of this shape. I actually really liked it to be like that, though they didn't want to stay together. So I used the good old method of super glue and, well, in my case, toilet paper. It's very, very simple. You just take some toilet paper, rip off a piece, scrunch it up, put it into any sort of crevice where the 2 pieces of wood meet, and you just add some cyanoacrylate liquid superglue, and that is going to harden very, very, very quickly and keep your pieces together. This is going to release fumes, so do not breathe it in. It is quite toxic. But yeah, very, very easy method of just connecting your wood connecting your wood to wood or your wood to rocks so that the wood doesn't actually float away. So on this piece here, I actually already connected 2 bits, but I'm going to continue adding some rocks around here, and then it actually should be quite done. And there we go. I think that this looks quite good. Obviously didn't go for anything too extreme in the scaping sense, just to have some caves and some places for the fish to go and hide and seek refuge, especially around the back there, just some caves and a little bit of wood so that the pleco has something to eat on, just to make it look a little bit more natural. I'm going to go ahead and dot a few Anubias plants around just to give it a little bit of greenery, fill it up to roughly around about halfway. As mentioned, I'm going to go get a self-leveling mat sometime next week, but this should be fine. The fish are very, very stressed out. The colors are completely faded, so I'm not going to bother around too long, unfortunately. I'm going to just net them out of the bucket, add them to the scape, and then basically just give them some rest since they've had quite a long day so far. It's been a few hours in the bucket, even though they had a filter and everything. Yeah, I don't want to stress them out too much anymore, so let's get them inside and give them some rest. There we go. The fish rescue is technically almost complete. I hope that the fish all make it over the night. But yeah, we will see. If you guys enjoyed the video so far, leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It would help the channel out quite a lot. But as mentioned, I'm going to switch off the lights. I'm going to let the fish relax and settle in, and hopefully they are all going to be well and fine by tomorrow. But we will see. I'm going to call it a night here, and I will catch you guys then in the next one.